Hello, dear listeners. It's that time again when we stroll through the paths of ambition, desire, and success. Welcome to the Dare to Declare podcast, where we explore the enchanting world of giant manifestors who've turned their visions and goals into the stuff of legends. I couldn't help but wonder, how do some people create the lives they've always dreamed of? Is it the magic of manifesting, the power of perseverance, or perhaps just a dash of serendipity? Well, dear friends, grab your coffee cups because we're about to spill the tea on fascinating journeys of those who dare to dream big and make it happen. Join me as we sip on success stories and ponder the ever-enticing question, can we all manifest our dreams into reality, or is it just an urban fairy tale? I'm your host, Debbie Sluice, and I'm here to guide you through the labyrinth of achievement with heart and soul. Ready to dare to declare? Let's get started. All right, welcome. I am so excited for today's guest. This is Dave Conway. And before I get started, I just want to say, I don't let many people do this, but I let Dave kick my ass. And I will tell you that he is my coach. He is an amazing mentor. And part of his bio is that he says he loves his family and he loves his life. And he says that he helps people discover the power within their own minds in order to turn that power into results unlike they've ever experienced before in their lives. Now, today is not about me, but I'll tell you before we just get into it about Dave is that he has radically changed my life and my results. And I am forever grateful. And I'm just really excited to bring him on because I want you to hear about his manifestation, his life, and just to meet this wonderful man.
Thank you, Debbie. It's awesome to be here. When I first saw Debbie's name come across my client list, it was Dare to Declare. And I thought, oh no, this chick is totally screwed now because now she's got to keep living into it. I said, oh no, this is not good for her.
I never thought about that until you said it. And it's so true. It's like you have to live your label. And, it's interesting you say that because I've been traveling now across the border and, declare, the border guard says to me, what is that? Dare to declare? It's almost like an affront to the border people. And I'm like, no. But I need to up my game, dare to declare. So Dave, I was on a call with you today as your client, and I heard you say something about your dad, and it made me curious about your parents and the influence that they've had on you. And can you talk a bit about what influence have your parents had on you and where you are today?
Yeah, I'd love to. So probably the biggest influencer of my life would be no question my mom. So my mom always had a high moral compass, I guess you could say. Both my parents, unbelievable work ethic. Working is not an issue in the Conway household. Okay, laziness is not even in the vocabulary. And my mom always taught me that integrity is the key. Another thing that my mom taught me too is that money's easy to get. It's easy to get. If you want something, you can go get it. And my mom placed all that inside of me. My mom and I also had a deep bond because as a kid growing up, I didn't always feel like I fit in everywhere, and I don't think that's exclusive to me. But my mom always understood me. She always was the one. So she always had my back regardless. And I always had her back regardless. And that relationship and that bond, I think, has without question shaped the man that I'm happy I've become. And then I ran into another gentleman at 18 years old that my mom brought me to see, which was the incredible Bob Proctor. And he shaped me a lot too. He shaped me a lot. So the relationship with my parents has been amazing. I still have a beautiful relationship with both of them today. That relationship has shifted a little bit where I kind of go and get my advice or things like that. I used to go primarily almost exclusively to my mom for everything. But some of my goals and my desires have kind of increased a little bit. So sometimes I go to a little bit of different people for that. But to this day, my parents still have my back, and I've got their back all the way.
That's amazing. It's really progressive to think about your mom having those ideas and instilling them in you, because I'm assuming that would be like 80s, maybe something like that, 90s, where
Yeah.
these are relatively, I think, newer ideas that money's easy to get. Is that what you said? Money's easy to get.
Yeah, my mom always said that money's easy to get. My dad never had that. My dad did not have that paradigm. So just to put in perspective, so we immigrated from Ireland. So I'm originally from Ireland. So we immigrated from Ireland November 30th, which is in 2 days, 1989. So I don't know what the hell. Been here a long time, 34 years or something like that. My parents, when they immigrated my mom started as a secretary. My dad got a job at a print shop where they would cut up and make telephone books and papers and things like that, and flyers. And he was a part of the printing press back when printing was a thing. Print West is what it was called. And my mom got a job as a secretary, and then she worked also another job as a waitress when they moved over from Ireland. So my parents did 2 full-time jobs. I actually remember I used to be alone so much when we immigrated that I remember one time I was so scared because I was like 6 years old and I was home all alone. I took the, you can unscrew like brooms from their pole or whatever. And I took one and I backed myself into a corner so that no one could get in behind me. And I just sat there for like hours with my stick until my parents came back home. But yeah, but what an intelligent little guy, He had the 2 walls behind him, so he knew he was covered from the back.
Yeah.
And then he just
That's
so
amazing.
yeah. And so my parents, they saw like a great opportunity in Canada that they didn't obviously see in Ireland, and it was in real estate. And my parents, I'll never forget. So we moved from our house into a duplex. So that's a house where 2 houses are pushed together. I'm sure everybody knows that. And my mom to this day still tells a story where she'll never forget when the woman next door, the tenant, so we lived on one side and they rented the other side, where the tenant walked over and gave my mom like a bunch of money. Now, prior to that, my mom never received money like that. And that was a big paradigm shift. And what my mom used to get me to do all the time too is, as she would collect rents, and most of it was all check or cash back in the day, she used to get me to count all the money. And that's how she started to increase my money ideas too. And she always told me money's easy to get. Now, my dad on the other side, a little bit different. My mom is more the saleswoman, entrepreneurial kind of woman. My dad, very, very quiet man, very quiet. He'll just go to work, and I think he likes that. So my parents ended up teaching me a lot of that, teaching me about multiple source of income, teaching me about service. And my mom always said that money's easy to get. If you want something, the money will always come.
That's amazing. I'm just picturing the little boy, little version of you counting money. I think about how many kids really have that opportunity. I mean, you count coins maybe to put in your piggy bank, but to actually even have an idea of the amount of money that was coming in. I mean, I'm just thinking about my household. I didn't really know. I didn't know as I was an adult what a mortgage even meant. Like those were things that were kept very hush. I think that's really cool that you had that opportunity. And
Yeah, and
so
she used to give me $2. Remember when you said the $2 bill in Canada?
yeah.
So that was my payment, the $2. So I count the tens of thousands of dollars, and then she'd give me 2 of them. I was just like, this is out of balance.
Go back and ask for it. Oh, that's funny. Child labor. Uh, you mentioned something about
I got another one. You want another one?
You go ahead. Yeah, I love it.
So, so my mom, she was my pimp, and
that kind of podcast.
and so what she used to do was whenever like female tenants or lady tenants, from the ages of like 20 to 35 or so, whenever they wanted to come and look at one of her properties, she would always send me. She pimped me out because my close rate with them was very high.
Use what you got, baby. Use what you got. That's awesome. I
You
like your
got it,
mom.
flaunt it.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. And you knew what was going on or no?
Oh yes, I knew exactly what was
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on. Yeah,
Oh,
well, my
that's so
close rate
funny.
was unbelievable.
So you played your part even like back then. So
Yeah,
you were selling
yeah.
back then. That's
I was
amazing.
selling back then, yeah. And then
Yeah.
something happened in my life at 21 where I sort of lost that part. Something happened to me and I lost a lot of my confidence. And I just wanted to isolate. I just didn't feel comfortable like sharing with people or talking to people. So that doesn't make a great salesperson. And I ended up getting a job. My brother at the time was clearing like a yard for a construction company. And he said, hey, I can get you a job here. So I said, oh, great. So I started driving a forklift. And, I wish I had someone different advising me at that time because I got 13 years doing a job I absolutely hated because of that.
Yeah. And so thinking about back to the 18-year-old self that mom introduced you to Bob Proctor, which I think is
Yeah.
so, again,
It's
progressive and so
amazing.
cool. Pardon?
Amazing.
Yeah. And so where did that introduction that you had and that knowledge with Bob, where did that go then for those 13 years?
Well, they didn't go far enough. That is for sure. So that was like, so when I saw him, um, I saw him for 2 hours at a place called the Travelodge Inn. Do you guys have Travelodges?
We do.
Yeah, it's like blue, right? It's like a
Usually
blue
like
sign.
two, 3-star max. It's a little funky. Sorry, anybody that owns
Well, the Travelodge was the place to be in
at
Toontown,
that
Saskatoon.
time,
That was
probably,
like,
yeah.
oh, I don't even know, but just that's the level that we have. And and anyway, so yeah, my mom had a friend, Mary Ann Brennan, and she said, "Hey, this guy's talking." So anyway, I went down, and I didn't know who he was or anything. Basically, no one knew. This is before The Secret. This is 2002, 2002. So I was 18, and right after I graduated too from high school, and in those 2 hours, Debbie, I just never heard anybody talk like that. Like I never heard anybody talk like him. And at that time, I was involved in soccer and I had great coaches and I had teachers, some I liked, some I didn't like, some I respected, some I didn't respect. I had my parents. I had other friends' parents and other adult influences. And I'd never had anybody talk like that. Never in my life. And from that moment, I was obsessed. It was the first time in my life where I really felt like I was at home. So when I was a teenager, people don't know this. I'm telling you things because you're asking different questions. Um, I had terrible anxiety. So I used to actually have to go down and work from the principal's office or the vice principal's office. I think it was named Mrs. Thornson or something, just to relieve some of that tension because I just was riddled with the stuff. And when I saw him, because I was always a little uncomfortable in my environment, so when I saw him, it was like the first time in my life where I was like, I'm like home. Like I really felt home. And then that started a journey where I started going to church a lot too at that time. So I'm from Ireland, so Republican. So I'm a Catholic. That's just the rules. You're born there, you're just a Catholic. You're Catholic and have a drinking problem. You're both, right? And so I really started to go deep into the church and stuff like that. And I would be there every day. But I never found there. So I would try in groups with people. Like as a young man, I would try and go meet with like some of the church groups, the youth of the group or whatever. And I was like, they just don't know. Like they're missing. Like they just there's more here. There's more here. And I searched that for a long time. And so when I got to see Bob, that really started like a train of going down in this path. And I really got deep into like spiritual mental sciences. But even after 13 years later, so when I was 33, so 18 years old to 21, I went around and I went to You Were Born Riches, Science Gain Riches. I was there when he was partnered with John Canary. on my 19th birthday, he actually brought me on the stage and the whole place sang me happy birthday. And I still have the book. He gave me a book called You Were Born Rich, which was his book. And he signed it. And he said, just do it. Happy 19th birthday, Dave. And when we had our first daughter, Jacqueline, and I had our first daughter, Abby, I used to love the book. So I used to think, oh, I'll put her, because a lot of good energy in the book. So when Abby was in her crib, she would fall asleep with the You Were Born Rich book from Bob. And one night she peed on it. And like the book went from like this thick, like to like 3 inches thick, so like an inch thick, like 3 inches. And then when
lovely smell.
yeah, and then later, I still have it. And later, when I was working with Bob, when I manifested one of my heart's desires, I started working with Bob at the age of 33. I brought it to him and I said, oh, look, I said, oh, my daughter loves your book, Bob, and all this stuff. I said, she loved it so much. She goes to sleep with it every night. And he's like, oh, that's good. And I showed it to him. I said, but I think I need a new one. So he did give me a new one. He signed a new one for me.
That's hilarious.
But in that time, I really was failing at moving the ideas into form. And this was big because 13 years into like this journey since seeing him at 18 and being around spiritual, mental sciences, searching, my life, like in the material world, basically was deteriorating. And by the time I was 33, I lived in a body that was in great physical pain because I was in construction for all those years. I never shamed my face. I was, I don't know how much I weighed, but I was probably 40 pounds overweight. And I remember waking up just thinking like, this isn't right. Like I know more than my life is reflecting. And I lived like that for 2 more years. And I really knew I was in a lot of trouble when this one time there was an inspector at a house and one of the projects we were doing because I was in construction. And I got so angry at him that I was actually, I was going to like physically attack him. Like that's just crazy. And one of our guys ran out of the building and like held me back, like physically. And I knew I was in a lot of trouble then. I was like, this is not right. Like something's wrong. Like I know better, but I'm not doing better. And I started getting so frustrated because I wasn't seeing the knowledge that I supposedly had actually entering into my life. And I think a lot of people suffer with that, especially in the modern world with all the information around manifestation, this and that. If you're like that, you know, my message to you is it is real. It is real. It's all based upon your level of awareness. And watch your desires too. So around 2017, I got this idea. I wonder if Bob Proctor still does his thing. And I went online. He had this event called the Paradigm Shift, bought a ticket, a general admission ticket, not VIP. That was $997. And I sure as hell am not paying that. I bought us a plane ticket, not at the front of the plane, the very back of the plane by the toilets, because I sure as hell am not paying anything extra to go fly at the front. And we flew down there, and I'm 39 years old now, and I would say that that was the most important weekend of my life.
Amazing. And was Jacqueline with you? Was that your wife?
Yeah, so Jacqueline, my wife, came with me. And even then she was like, oh, like we're going, it was in LA and we're from Canada. So you go, you know, you want to go in the sun. Like we turn whiter and whiter for 6 months of the year. And she was like, I don't want to go to LA and sit in some conference room. I want to sit on the beach. And I was like, Jack, I was like, no, you have to come. Like, you have to come. You know, I was like, do this for me. So she did. And we went there and that was massive. And the idea that I learned that I'd missed for 15 years was the idea of a paradigm. Like I missed it. Like I'm talking about completely oblivious to that idea. And it's a really, really important idea because your paradigm actually controlling your whole life.
Right.
And that weekend was I would say, was the most painful weekend of my life, because it was almost as if, like the 15 years, it's like someone took a pin and like poked all that endeavoring that I'd been doing, and it just started like downloading into my heart, very, very fast. So that weekend totally changed my life. My financial situation completely changed. My peace of mind completely changed. It didn't change in that moment. That started all the work and the expansion. But it was a huge, huge, huge. It was the most important weekend of my life, no question.
Well, it makes me think about what you were talking about this morning in our session about two decisions. So would you say that you made the first decision then, or was the decision to get on the plane to go? What would you say?
Well, in all honesty, I just was at the point where, did I know exactly what I was getting myself into when I bought that ticket? I knew that he was powerful. I knew that I loved the information and loved him. Like, I still would listen to him all the time in all those years. Bob Proctor's I'm talking about. And, but did I really know what I was getting myself into? I don't think so. But at that weekend, there was an opportunity. So at the time, I'm doing construction, general contractor, and it's super strange because even when I was in construction, every time someone would say like, "Oh, what do you do, Dave?" I'd say, "Oh, I'm a general contractor," and I actually felt like I was lying to them.
Hmm.
Or like, "What do you do?" or "Who are you?" I really should have said, "I don't know who the hell I am."
Hmm.
Because every time I said, "Oh, I'm a general contractor," I'd be like, "That's not true." Or "I'm a carpenter." And in my heart, my heart was like, "That's not true. Like, that's not true, Dave." That's just, well, if it's not true, I don't know what I am, but I know I'm not that.
Right.
So I was doing a job that I never really enjoyed, fit into, or liked. So yeah, when we flew down, there's an opportunity there to purchase, and I know you do this. You sell like a vision board opportunity too, where someone can build a business like you, which is absolutely amazing. And if you're going to learn from someone, learn from the best. That's also something. So there you go. If you're want to start an opportunity, call Debbie up. And I bought a license to become a Proctor Gallagher consultant. Now, I think there's been over 3,000 of people have done that. And in the beginning, my obsession was Bob. Like, that was my obsession. I thought I died and gone to heaven. Like, when I saw him when I was 18 years old, in my heart, I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that. I want to work with him. I want to do that. I just obviously didn't know what the hell he was talking about because I wasn't able to do it. I just never saw the opportunity. I never created it either. I'm not blaming anybody. My conscious awareness just couldn't meet the idea. So I bought a license that weekend to become a PGI consultant. Within the first year, I was the number 2 selling consultant in the world. Within 3 years, my income went from $5,000 a month to well over $100,000 a month. And it's never stopped expanding ever since then. I have become a multimillionaire since. I found a labor of love. I have found just love, period, in my life. I have peace of mind. I have health of body. All the promises, like all of the things that are claimed by people when they discuss these manifestation ideas, I will tell you as I sit here in front of you today, I have them all.
That's so cool. So cool. And this is what this podcast is about, is to talk about those kind of manifestations and to hear from people just like you, where it's like you were you were a contractor and then you made that decision and you believed and got into action. I'm curious, did you find that you got into a place where you manifested at a certain level and you got stuck? And this is what I'm understanding from people that are giant manifestors, is that they reach a certain sort of pinnacle or feel like they've gotten to where they thought they were going to be and then they plateau. Has that ever happened to you? And if so, how did
Yeah.
you go to the next level?
Yes. So as you were talking about before, so I'm going to just finish up an idea. The first idea is that in every decision, there's two decisions. The first decision, so let's say someone wants to like take their income from $5,000 to $100,000 a month. Okay, let's just say that's what a goal is. So when you make a decision, the first decision, what it does, the first decision is designed to like mess you up, because decision is the medium that moves the intangible world into the physical world. It is the governing body that controls that movement. No decision, no manifestation. Okay, so it moves the idea. When the first decision is made, the idea hits, and then what occurs to it is that people start to respond to it because it's outside of their comfort zone. Fear will kick in. All these reasons will kick in why they can't have it. And then usually they retreat. They never make the second decision. So I teach, and when it comes to manifestation, I teach an idea around decision called first we do it, then we do it. If we do it, we do it. So first there's a decision to do it, and then there's a decision to really do it.
And that's the part you kick my ass. Okay. Just had to say that.
Yeah, that's where I was like, oh, you're in big trouble with Dare to Declare. So, and it's worked out for her. I'll tell you, it's worked out for her. She's dynamite. So yes, I've gotten stuck. This is a ridiculous. If I would be sitting here, like if you told me I'd be sitting here 6.5 years later, from that May in LA, and this was one of my issues that I was about to that I would encounter along the journey, I would have been like, that is the biggest crock of BS. That's just not going to happen. So what happened to me? I got stuck at $250,000 a month. Now, let's get honest. That's what we call a first world problem.
Absolutely. It's a giant manifester problem. That's what that is. Everybody on this call is probably going, boo-hoo for you. But
yeah.
Let's hear about that.
Yeah. So I got stuck at $250 a month. Now, I think one of the biggest things that a person can ask of, if they're ever stuck, how do I know if I'm stuck or not? That's it. How do I know? Like if I was to self-analyze myself, like how do I know? Dave, how do you know you're stuck? Well, I knew I was in trouble because number one, the way I felt. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I was becoming bored. And it's impossible to be bored and inspired at the same time. So either you're uninspired or you're inspired. I don't think there's any other way a state of mind that a person lives in. You're either inspired or you're not inspired. You're inspired or uninspired. So I knew I was in trouble, and because number one, the needle wasn't moving. Now, prior to that, the needle had always been moving. It might move up a little and then up and then, but eventually it was always expanding. Like when I crossed the $100,000 a month, it never went back. Like I know there's some people have a shot, like they go up for a month and then they go down. It never returned back. Now that took 31 months to condition my mind, to condition myself, because I believe, and if anybody, your listeners are listening to this, I believe that true manifestation is manifesting a new identity. True manifestation is changing yourself. When you change yourself, automatically your world will be altered. That's a law. So use manifestation to not just use manifestation to upgrade so that you can start to move a better energy into the world and into your life. And it must return. It must return back. So I knew I was stuck because number one, the way I felt. Number two, I was getting bored. And then the third is the money wasn't increasing. And what I found myself doing was like starting to work harder. However, I knew that working hard isn't the way to earn money. I'd worked hard prior to that when I was 33 for 15 years and I got nowhere. 15 years of hard work and I got my income up to $5,000 a month. So I knew that. I'd observed my parents in that way too, where my dad would work very, very hard. And at the end of the day, what do they have? Like they should have 100 times more than they actually have currently. But that's that's another discussion about the paradigm. So I ended up calling one of my mentors, and I said to him, I said, I think I'm stuck. And I flew down, like literally flew from Canada into the United States to go sit with him for an hour. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that, you know. A lot of people like aren't even willing to go out on a Tuesday night to go and improve themselves. I'd fly around the world if I knew you could help me. So when I went down there, he said, I can tell you why you're stuck. Now, this is one of the biggest things, regardless of what level you hit, this is the biggest thing that keeps people stuck. He said, you're afraid to lose what you've got. He said, you have a pretty cushy little life now there, Dave. And he said, I remember you when you earned $5,000. You see, when I started in 2017, I couldn't wait to get rid of my life. Like I was done with it. When in 2017, I cut everyone and everything out of my life except my immediate family. All my friends gone. Any activities and hobbies I used to do, gone. Complete reinvention. There's people that start gossiping about me. You know, what's up with Conway? You find Jesus or something? Like you just is he preaching the gospels? I used to know him as an asshole. Now he's pretending he's a good guy. Yeah, so he said, you're afraid to lose what you got. And he said, I knew you when you didn't have much and you couldn't wait to make the changes. He said, now you've gotten comfortable. And you see, what we really got to grasp is that goals are not meant to get, goals are meant to grow. And to grow in your awareness, to tap into your infinite potential, to grow in your awareness of who you really are and how special you are. And that's such a beautiful thing. So goals, too, is probably one of the most misunderstood words in the English language. A goal is a spiritual seed. What goals do for human beings is they get you in harmony with the divine law. And the divine law is expansion. So you have to expand something that already exists in you and let that go out. But if you've got fear, so did I have a goal at the time? Sure, I had a number. But my willingness, unconsciously, I became afraid. So my willingness really started to shrink. So the chance of me getting that goal are like nil. So am I working? Yes. Am I getting bored? Yes. Am I seeing any results? No. How the hell could I? So I stretched the goal out to $1 million a month. Within 4 months, earned over $550,000 in a single month. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. Yeah. I thank you for sharing that. That is gold right there. Like that's awesome. I'm curious. I get asked now that I've been in the program for over a year, I have people sometimes contemplating your program. And, you know, there are thousands of different programs for people to choose. So what would you say to someone who's thinking about wanting to take a journey like you did, find a mentor, find a coach? What should they look at and how should they choose a program?
That's an amazing question too. So be wary of the person that sells something for nothing. I did a sales call once with a lady, and she said that she wanted to change nothing and serve everyone and become rich. And I said, well, I don't think I'm your man. Because all I know and what I've been taught was to change yourself and serve in your highest quality and highest quality of people. And I said, but I'll tell you, if you find the person, and it actually works, that you can change nothing and serve no one and get everything, I said, and it really works, I said, you give me their number because I'll hire them too. I'll hire them too. So be wary of the person that is selling something for nothing. It is not something for nothing. It is something for everything. And at the core of it all, the missing piece for me, there was two missing pieces. The first is the paradigm. You got to understand what a paradigm is. Now, I know a lot of people that think they know what it is, but always have a healthy suspicion of your paradigm. It's like smells. It's like, is there a paradigm in this room? Like, it's like, is there an old model around here somewhere? Like, show some respect to the thing. Show some respect to the 7 deadly sins. Show some respect to pride. Like, show some respect to it. It's a powerful energy. And don't be so sure you're not under its spell. So the first thing was the paradigm. The second thing is the self-image. To really start to build a new image of yourself. To really manifest a new version of yourself. So when I share about, when people ask me the question, like, you know, what should I look for in a mentor? Always look for a person that is, number one, living out their own principles, like living them out, not becoming a fraud or a fake. Because it's easy to know something, very different to live by it. And the second is, just be wary the person is something for nothing. Because you can never go wrong by improving yourself and serving more people. And if you just marry that idea, if you can fall in love with the idea of service, and if your mentors are getting you to fall in love with that idea, you probably have a really solid mentor. You know, there was a couple people on The Secret that like went to jail.
I didn't
Did you know
that.
that? You didn't know that?
No.
Man, one of them went to jail for like homicide.
Oh my word.
Yeah, listen to this. He we'll do a bit of gossip. He was running the retreats. I forget the name. Someone will know his name.
Oh,
You'll
I
know him if
did
you see
hear
him.
about this.
No, there's two of them. This
Oh.
one time I showed a person of all the faces of all the people that were on The Secret. And I said, which one of these two people do you think? And the person said, boom, like that. They knew, it was like, that one and that one. You could tell by their energy just through the picture. And yeah, what he was doing, as the story goes, he was like doing retreats or sweats or something. And he was charging like hundreds of dollars for bottles of water or something. And I think 2 or 3 people died in the sweat. So always be wary of something for nothing. And I know Debbie's a huge fan of Jack Canfield. You do not go that long without having integrity and without doing it the right way. And don't be in such a rush to get exactly what you want. Have urgency and dedication and commitment, but watch out for trying to skip a few rungs on the ladder. You know, pay your dues, develop yourself, because at the end of the day, we're all going to the same place anyway, and you don't take anything with you.
It's true. True.
You know, so that would be my biggest thing. Be wary of the person that's selling something for nothing, because it's very common in this space.
Yeah. Well, Dave, you've given us so much here today. A little bits about yourself, lots of value as well. So you definitely live and walk your talk, and I appreciate you so much. Can you perhaps leave us with, you've got 2 girls, and I started off by saying that family, you love your family, like that's right in your bio. So you talked about putting them in the crib with the book from Bob Proctor. So
yeah,
what is something that you have as a desire for your daughters to understand and know and embody for themselves? What's your desire for your girls?
well, my desire for my girls is the same desire I have for myself, and the same desire that I have for you and anybody else in the world. My desire for my girls is to know where to go to actually change their life. You know, if you were to ask me, Dave, well, what's a successful father? How will you know if you're successful? My definition of success for me personally as a father is that my girls, regardless of what's going on in their life, know that they can always come to me, that nothing is a secret. And Jack and I have a really strict rule in our house. This is a guilt-free home. There's no guilt allowed in our home. So we made a home, and we were endeavoring to make a home that has no guilt in it. And if we see guilt, we stamp it out in my daughters. So my desire for my daughters is the same as everybody else, that they know to go inside to actually make the changes, to not blame the outside ever. And I think regardless if you're a girl or a boy or whatever your prerogative is, start taking full responsibility for your life. And that's what Bob helped me do. One of the biggest things, taking full responsibility for my life. And if I can do that for my girls, then I'm winning.
For sure. So we will drop your contact information below in the show notes, but how can people work with you, talk to you, connect, and find out more about what you have to offer at Conway Consulting?
Yeah, you can go to www.conway.consulting. You can follow me on Instagram as well. Just put in there Conway Consulting, and we'll pop up. And we have all kinds of events all the time. Right now, we have this 21-day manifestation challenge running, where I'm helping people, really develop their focus and their imagination, learning how to make a clear mental picture, and then focusing on that picture. And I think one of the things with manifestation too is, like, when you focus on a picture, you got to understand that you need courage to actually act on the things you attract that will actually build the picture. So we talk about that on the 21-day manifestation challenge too, like how you have to have courage to actually live the life that you desire. It takes a lot of courage to do that. The 21-day manifestation challenge, we do events all the time, but www.conway.consulting or Insta. Follow me on Insta.
Yes. And before I go, I forgot to ask you, what's on your vision board? I don't even know. Do you have a vision board? But you talk about the mental picture all the time. So what's on your vision board for, like, can you tell me about one thing for 2024?
Yeah. My obsession is speaking on bigger and bigger stages. So when it comes to like vision making for me, I don't know if I'm like a little, have a disability or something, but like my mind, it just locks onto one thing, just one thing. So always just speaking to larger groups. That's all I think about. Everything else, I don't know. I get an idea and I just make a decision. That's just how I roll. So it's like, if I want that, I just make a decision. I'm going to build a new studio. So I made that decision a couple of weeks ago. So I guess that would be a part of it. That's the next thing I want to bring from the intangible into the tangible world. But for me, on a personal, professional level, it's always just to speak on bigger stages, see myself helping more people. Because I do believe that it's really important that a lot of the information that's being shared is very, very valuable information. It's just learning how to really understand and apply it is a very different story. So for me, always talking on bigger stages.
Amazing. So people can follow you on Instagram and see Dave. You're going to follow his journey. You're going to see him on bigger stages, because what he declares, he manifests. I witnessed it myself. So Dave, thanks so much for being here today. It was fun, a pleasure, and been on my list of something to do. So I just really appreciate you.
I love it. Thanks so much, Debbie.